Greetings and salutations, this is Jarsz, the biggest YouTuber ever! And good morning, Jarsholes! Welcome to another edition of the Daily Jarsz for Thursday, the 9th of November, 2023. Thursday. I never could get the hang of Thursdays, but on the upside, it's Friday Eve. We can smell the weekend now. A special shout out to those who clicked subscribe yesterday. Welcome to the world of Jarsz. I hope you enjoy the show. And a quick shout out to friends of this channel, FDFE and MC Toon, who both celebrated 5 years on YouTube yesterday. Congratulations, guys. And may there be many more years ahead of debunking the stupid. Today, we're looking at one of the worst advocates for flat Earth on the globe. His arguments make less sense than an Oakley rant or a schooling from Mitchell from Australia. He admits that he didn't really finish school, which is not something that I hold against him. School doesn't work for everyone. But what I will hold up for all to see is his stubborn refusal to learn anything. He literally rectally extracts everything that he says and somehow thinks he has a point. Of course, I'm talking about that walking, talking Irish joke, Brian's Illogic. He's so bad at thinking things through that he actually has the audacity to name his channel Brian's Logic, which has never provided any logic whatsoever. Just conspiracy-guided nonsense. The upside is that it's always very, very funny to watch him try to justify utter rubbish as if it could ever be the truth. He's climbed Dunning-Kruger's Mount Stupid and somehow kept going up. How would you describe your level of understanding, Brian?
I'm totally stupid.
Oh, really? Okay. Before I get into him, I want to thank my YouTube members. Thank you once again for all that you do for me, and thanks for being part of the huge ass movement. Brian is the ultimate stereotype of a flat earther. Obviously not very bright, doesn't know or understand anything, but has supreme confidence that he does. His videos parade that he has no idea whatsoever about what he's talking about, as you'll see. But somehow you should just accept what he says for the ridiculous reasons he tries to justify it with. And much hilarity ensues. For your own protection, I have to play the facepalm warning. Headphone warning there. You'll thank me later. Headphone warning in 3, 2, 1. Severe facepalm warning is in effect. Oven mitts mandatory from this point forward. You are at risk of pummeling yourself to death with facepalm. Huh. I cut off at the end. I might have to redo that one. To showcase what I'm talking about regarding Brian, I have 5 videos prepared for you today. We might not get through all of them, but if I speed up Brian more than 1.25 times, it'll be impossible to understand him. It's hard enough at normal speed. We'll definitely get to the last one, though, where he says the stupidest thing I've ever heard anyone ever say. So with the first one, to spare you some boring nonsense, well, more boring than the rest of it anyway, we'll start the first one at 7 minutes. This one's called The Tangent Paradox.
First of all, which one of these two lines here is a horizontal? Because to claim a tangent is one thing, right? It's geometrical, you can claim a tangent, right? But when you say, as our opposition must say when it comes to celestial navigation, they must say that they are creating a horizontal tangent, not just any tangent, it has to be a horizontal, right? So if they say if they're claiming to create a horizontal, then the line S here, that is a horizontal. So all of these lines here are perpendicular to it. But according to our opposition, only this one here, I'm just going to change it to blue, right?
Yeah, that makes
only
a difference.
This blue line here, I'm picking it up a bit so you can see it, right? Only this blue line here is perpendicular, according to our opposition. I'll make this line here blue as well, right? So according...
No, Brian, you're building a straw man. That is not according to your opposition. Both of these lines are horizontal at the point where they become a tangent. It depends on where you are. You're looking at the whole globe point of view. No one ever experiences that. We only experience the horizon where we are. This is a very simple concept, Brian.
To them, only this is perpendicular because this is their tangent plane, right? But this is nonsense because all these other three are obviously perpendicular. So how can they create a tangent plane in reality, right?
They're not meant to. You drew those lines in. What's that got to do with the globe at all? You added that. You don't understand geometry. You've tried to put things together that you don't understand, and somehow you're correct, and everyone else who's ever done this is wrong. Are you nuts? Well, then again, I guess you could tell me yourself.
I'm totally stupid.
Yeah, okay. Let's let him hang himself a bit more.
This is the problem. They can't have a tangent plane in reality, a horizontal tangent plane in reality, for two reasons. Number one is this: if you create a tangent plane, then that means that, and it's claimed to be a horizontal, that means that every one of the verticals that is plumb to that, right, as they're going to be, will be also perpendicular. So you can't claim that only this vertical here, right, is horizontal or is perpendicular to this horizontal, because what they do is they create a tangent at this point here, which is zoom in. This is what they do. At one point, they create a tangent, which is this blue line. Make this one a bit thicker as well so you can see it, right? And they then claim that this line here, which is, let's say, the zenith from the observer, let's say if they have a sextant or something, is the vertical, and that's perpendicular to their.
Did you hear that? He seems to think a zenith only exists if you have a sextant. He doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. There's two definitions he needs to understand. Perpendicular means at an angle of 90 degrees to another line or surface. So wherever you draw the tangent, a perpendicular goes straight up. On a curve, none of these ones are going to, over here, are going to apply because you added that in. But the tangent, there'll be another tangent here, be another tangent at that point, another tangent over here. And as you've drawn on the bigger diagram, there's one down the side as well, and there'll be one on the bottom. Tangents are at every point on the circle. It's a basic concept you don't get. You also don't understand what plumb means. It means a line directed to the center of gravity of the Earth. In other words, a vertical line. So at any point on the Earth's surface, plumb is also a vertical. It points down and it points up, of course, because a line has two ends. And the tangent can meet the Earth at that point as well. In fact, in many directions, it can do it. It's so anyone who has any basic geometry understands these basic concepts. And yet you've misunderstood them and somehow Earth and flat. Oh, hang on, where's my cursor gone?
Horizontal tangent plane. But all these lines are also perpendicular. So how can this one here only be perpendicular? See, they need this one, only one of these, and that's this one, to be perpendicular, because this one is going to the center of their sphere in their own maths or their own mind. But then you have the other problem of.
Well, just let me finish off on that one. All four lines are perpendicular to this line here. Sorry, to line S. All those lines are perpendicular to that. But only this one is plumb because it's pointing at the center of the Earth. These ones aren't. Understand the definitions before you make a fool of yourself, Brian.
Someone else who believes they're over on this part of a globe, right? So I'll make this one orange maybe, right? And bring the line up to about 9, right? And they do the same with this. Make this one orange and bring that up to 9.
Yeah, that makes a big difference, Brian.
Now, this person here is claiming that they're creating a horizontal tangent plane and that this vertical here, only this one, is perpendicular to it.
At that point, that's correct.
Is claiming that they're creating a horizontal tangent plane and only this vertical here is tangent here.
Yes.
Now, for a start, which one of these on a sphere is horizontal then? Because you can't have two horizontals. That doesn't exist.
Did you hear that? Horizontal is relative to where you are, Brian. At this point, this line is horizontal. At this point, this line is horizontal. If you rotated this 90 degrees, you'd have the same diagram in mirror. You don't understand, Brian.
Constant. You know, it's a constant orientation. You can't change the orientation of horizontal. All pitch, whether it be all pitch below, up, above and below horizontal, is determined by horizontal. Horizontal is 0, right? Rate of slope 0. That's what horizontal is. So how can this?
It is? That's too stupid.
This line here be this orange line here be perpendicular, and this blue line here, horizontal, and this blue line here be horizontal. Can't. Obviously, the only one of these in reality that can be horizontal is this blue line. But that also means
no, Brian. Horizontal is a local phenomenon. Why are you thinking this? Why are you even thinking this? It makes no sense whatsoever, which is why you're having a problem with it. You think it does make sense. There is no universal horizontal. Horizontal is a local phenomenon.
That not only that also means that these other lines here, these other black lines here, I make them blue as well. Right?
Yes, that makes a difference, Brian.
This line here, blue. This line here, blue.
Yes,
and this line here,
achieving a lot.
Blue. That they also have to be perpendicular to this line. If this line is claimed to be a horizontal, and it has to be when you're talking about something like celestial navigation, then all of these lines must be perpendicular to this horizontal.
And it is.
And so the point being is that how does this work, and how can it work with a tangent? You can't claim a tangent. It's total nonsense. If you're claiming a horizontal,
you don't understand it, so it's nonsense. For God's sake.
Tangent plane, then all verticals to that horizontal tangent plane will be perpendicular. But the problem is that in globe world, only this one here, I'll actually change the color of this one to
not
red.
Again.
Only this red one can be perpendicular in their world. But that's mathematically impossible, because
how is it mathematically impossible? You just showed it was possible.
You can't have this being a perpendicular and this being a perpendicular when
they are locally. God's sake, Brian.
Only the blue line is horizontal. That's the problem. The blue line is the horizontal. So how can this orange line be a horizontal as well? It can't.
Of course it can, because it's a local thing.
And how can these here not be perpendicular to this blue line? They can't. It's literally like that's what perpendicular is. Horizontal and a vertical. So
no. As I said, perpendicular. Oh, God's sake. Do I really need to say it again? Perpendicular is 90 degrees to the pull of gravity, to the surface. God's sake, this is so stupid.
There is absolutely no mathematical way for our opposition to claim that they're using a horizontal tangent plane, whether it be in celestial navigation or surveying or anything else. You can't claim horizontal tangent plane and then claim you're on a globe, because then that means that you're claiming only one vertical, which is the one right at your feet. Only that vertical is perpendicular to it.
Well, celestial navigation, that's the only one that's relevant.
It's not horizontal then. But it is horizontal if you're claiming it's horizontal. So if you're creating a tangent plane, which you're claiming to be a tangent plane, a horizontal tangent plane, that means that all verticals to that tangent plane are going to be perpendicular.
Correct, but irrelevant.
But let me get a segment. But this is the problem, right? I'll come out here, right? That loop, right? According to them, right, this line here, make that a green one, right? According to them, this green line is a vertical. But how can that be a vertical? Right, because it goes to this. They have.
At this point here, it is a vertical. It's a local thing.
Have to claim that all verticals go to the center of their globe, right? This is what their claim is. So they're trying to claim that this orange line here, this red line, and this green line are verticals. But how can they be verticals?
Locally, they are.
If they're verticals,
you're looking at it from an invalid point of view. Goodness me. Where Brian's gone wrong is, like most flirts, he assumes Earth am flat. Therefore, this is the way it should look like. But of course, the fact that Earth isn't flat means that it doesn't work that way. You're debunking yourself as usual, Brian. Oh, God's sake, I almost had an aneurysm from that. Let me set up the next one. Oh, hang on. Right. This one will take a bit of listening to because it doesn't make a lot of sense, as you'd expect. But let's give it a go. In the end, he does some maths, and that's where the hilarity ensues. But let him set it up first.
Well, here we go. Okay, the name of this video is called The Great Globe Excuse. This is a quick video based on a video that Taboo Conspiracy brought out in the past few days, and it's off of his
So in other words, it's a video put out by a charlatan, and he's just swallowed it.
old channel, I think. It's based on an observation by BLMSB69 from Santa Barbara out to East Anacapa Island.
And BLMS 69 is the guy who did the famous Black Swan photo.
And the Anacapa Lighthouse. Okay, so just to show, so just so you can see, so the distance was 33.64, right? 33.64 was the distance in miles between BLMSB 69 and the Anacapa Lighthouse. Okay, so that's what we're working on here. Okay, so what this is about is not the observation itself, because this is all covered in Ben's video and in BLMSB 69's video. So this is about the globe excuse that's needed to explain this, right? So here is an image from that, right? That I took a still from that. Here is a cleaned up version of that image. Okay, so remember, I'm just gonna make this bigger so you can see it even bigger. So this is, they need to claim that this is not really there, right? They need to claim that the globe Earth has.
And again, he builds a straw man. Of course, we don't say it's not really there. We do say there's a bit of refraction happening here. As you can see, these aren't perfectly straight. It's not as much as in the Black Swan photo, but it's definitely happening. And you can see the bottom of it, obviously.
Has unbended, right? And straightened itself out to the point where BLMSB 69 could see this platform with the horizon way behind it, and behind two other platforms, the horizon right behind Anacapa Island and the Anacapa Lighthouse.
I'd like to see some evidence of that. At the moment, all I see is one platform. I don't see anything else to show that this is the right one to look at.
So, but this one here is 11 miles away.
We just got your word for that, Brian.
Everything behind it is supposed to have been lifted up, basically, right? This is how they describe it. So a lot of our opposition think that the line of sight is bending around the globe Earth. No, the globe Earth in their globe maths excuse is claimed to unbend, keeping the line of sight straight, showing you things in a straight line from your eye line, or from your eyes in a straight line, that you shouldn't, within their model, be able to see, right? That's how it is.
That's a heck of a straw man, Brian. That's all I can say about that. That didn't make a lot of sense either.
Do that, right? It's nonsense, but that's what they have to do. That's what this is about.
It's definitely nonsense, because you made it up.
Right, this is 11 miles away, and the video, Ben's video, Taboo Conspiracy, he goes through and shows all the measurements and all the rest of it for distance. And
if it's Taboo Conspiracy, I can guarantee he got it wrong or chose the wrong platform just to deceive us.
The location, blah blah blah, right? So let's go to the maths, right? So what they need to do is they need globe over 6-hour excuse maths, right? So just 1 second, just going to take this down. So here is the calculation for finding out what size globe you're on today, right? So this is from Adam Meakin, right? This is his equation. Third of not knowing what size ball you're on today, question mark. Simply observe your distance to the horizon, D, input with your observer height, H, and as if by magic, instant peace of mind. Plus, as
is this actually the formula? R equals, what's this? I don't know what this number is. Distance over observer height.
An added bonus, you get a calculated value to base your further geometric assumptions on, right? So we have to come up with an effective radius. So R equals 2640 by the multiplied by the distance to the horizon squared, divided by the height, right? So globe over 6-hour excuse math.
Hang on, what's 2640? Where did you pull that out of?
So 33.62 miles multiplied by 33.62 miles is 1,130.3044, right? Then
Why are you making that calculation? What does that tell you?
1130.3044 multiplied by 2640 equals 2,984,003.616.
Do you have any units here? I seem to remember 33.62 was in miles to the platform. So why have you multiplied it by itself? You're not using any units. I presume this is in feet, given you use observer height. You're not going to do that in miles. Do you have any idea what these numbers mean, Brian?
Then this number, 2,984,003.616, divided by the observer height, which is 102 feet, equals 29,254.
So we're saying that's feet. So presumably this is feet as well?
937. So then we must take this, I rounded it off up to 20 foot, up to 55. So 29,255 divided by 3956. 3956 is the correct, is the correct globe Earth radius, not 3959.
Oh, thanks for admitting that the Earth's a globe.
Although 3959 is, the reason they say 3959 is because it's the mean radius between what would be the polar and equatorial circumferences. But the reason
that's irrelevant, Brian.
They say 3959 is because they have to claim that their equatorial circumference is greater than their polar circumference, right? But the only reason they have to claim that, just for people who don't know.
Do you have any idea why that happens, Brian? I mean, why wouldn't they just say it's a perfect sphere? Why would they choose to say that it's thicker in the middle than it is at the ends, if you know what I mean?
And the reason they're not stating this number is because within their model, they have to claim that they're rotating at a sidereal rate to explain the stars, the movement of the stars. So consequently, they have to then claim that there's been centrifugal force causing the equator to expand out, right? That's what they...
Let me go back to this. So that's in miles for sure. But he used feet here. So what unit is this? It's certainly not miles, because you don't divide anything by 102 to get miles. So how can you divide nearly 4,000 miles into this number, whatever units it has? This makes no sense, Brian.
They must claim. So basically, bit by bit, the globe is flattening out, right? That's basically what they have to claim. But the mean radius between what their equatorial radius would be.
All this is irrelevant, Brian. Just say that's the accepted figure. That's all you need to say. It's to make the maths easy.
And our polar radius is 3959, right? So it's not incorrect, but it's not, for geometry, it's wrong. And the reason it's wrong is because their actual globe is a perfect sphere. And the reason it's a perfect sphere is because,
if the actual globe is a perfect sphere, why would they claim that it's not? You're contradicting yourself, Brian.
It's the meeting at two ends of any two opposite longitude lines, corresponding longitude lines meeting. That means it's 21,600 nautical miles. And when you turn that into
for God's sake, get on with it.
Turn that into statute miles, it's going to be 24,856 or 856. So the radius works out as 3956, right? I think to that, I remember doing the maths and it worked out 3956. But anyway, that divided into 29,255 gives us 7.395, right? And that 7.395.
But without units, that's just a number. What does it mean?
Multiplied by 6 gives us 44.370481, blah, 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 right? So their effective radius of 29,255 statute.
I must admit, when I saw SM here, he means statute miles, but I thought he meant scoy miles.
Miles, right, equals out at 44.406R, correct.
How is that the effective radius? R is the radius. So how could the radius be 44.4 over 6R if R is the radius? That makes no sense, Brian.
So their excuse for what we see here, right, for this observation to be possible, right, from here in Santa Barbara at 102 feet to Anacapa Lighthouse, right, their excuse is 44.4 over 6R. So that's what they must claim for this. So what that...
You've not explained what that actually means, Brian. and you don't explain why it's the excuse. I'm going to leave this one here because time's getting on. And we're not going to get to all five, but we need to get to the fifth one. Let's have a look at this one.
Well, here you go. Okay.
Why does he always start every video with, "Hey, how you doing?" Clear your throat before you speak, Brian.
Sorry, well, how are you doing? Okay, this video is going to be a video where I address our opposition's claims concerning the ring laser gyro. All our claims are based off of claims made by Bob Nodell in the 2018 Netflix documentary. So the claim is that there's a 15 degree per hour drift picked up by the ring laser gyro while the gyro was on the surface of the earth, right? And this is what Bob supposedly said happened and whatever, right? At the time. Now, I've seen no evidence for any 15 degree per hour drift picked up by anything. So I'm not claiming either way. I don't care whether it does or doesn't. I'm just going to use our opposition's claims here as a logic and use a logical inference to bring it to its logical conclusion, right? Which is that their claims, using their own model, debunks their own claims, right? Their claims concerning the ring laser gyro using their own model debunks their own claims, right? And proves the opposite of what they claim. So here we have the ring laser gyro. I'm not going to go into all that.
Interesting. Interesting.
All the why did interesting come up? Debunk all the claims. I've got a feeling he's got that wrong.
How it works, right? You can know, anyone can find that out. You don't need to. Most people would know it. So this just as a visual reference. Okay. So the claim is this: that on the surface of the earth, when someone has a ring laser gyro on the surface of the earth, then while on the surface, the ring laser gyro is picking up a 15 degree per hour drift. That is the claim. That is the claim that was made by Bob Nodell. It's also the claim made by our opposition, right? Now, as I said, I don't care whether it does or doesn't. I've seen no evidence that it does, but I'm not making claims either way because I've just seen no evidence.
You've seen no evidence. Obviously, you haven't researched. Do your own research, Brian.
Right? It doesn't care. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Right? Now,
if you don't care, then why are you making a video about it? You should have done your research, Brian.
Our opposition also claim that this hot air balloon, when it goes straight up in the air here, won't have the earth rotating underneath it. Neither will an airplane, a helicopter, drone, whatever, right? When you jump up and...
Why would it? That's the stupidest claim of Flurfs. They think if you jump up, the earth should move underneath you.
Yeah, that won't happen. This is what they claim, right? They claim, due to an incorrect understanding of the conservation of momentum, they claim...
Oh! We have the incorrect understanding of the conservation momentum. I think you'll see later on that Brian proves that he's the one that doesn't have that.
That the hot air balloon will be brought along by the momentum of the rotating earth underneath, right? So if that's the case, and the ring laser gyro picks up a 15 degree per hour drift on the surface of the earth here, then if it was in this hot air balloon and the hot air balloon lifted up in the air, then it has to be picking up a 15 degree per hour drift in the hot air balloon too, if we use that claim.
Yes, this is why all aircraft have 3 of them. But I think the thing that you're having trouble with is that the fact that they're up in the air, and all aircraft calibrate their ring laser gyroscopes when they're on the ground. And that way they've got a point of reference. They know the lat long of that point. And then the gyroscopes can tell them how they're moving relative to that point from there on. So it doesn't matter if they're on the ground or not.
Because there's no way that it can be picking up a 15 degree per hour drift while on the surface of the earth, and that drift be claimed to be at the rotation of the earth, and it not pick it up in the hot air balloon when the hot air balloon rises up into the sky.
Well, it'll pick it up when it's in the sky because it's been calibrated on the ground.
Because that is also claimed to have a 15 degree per hour drift, right?
You don't seem to understand, Brian, that's the point of the gyroscope. The fact that the Earth rotates gives you a north-south line. The fact being able to determine how much it's rotating figures out where that is, and that determines, you can use that as a compass. That's the point of the gyroscope.
It's off of the conservation of momentum that they don't understand, and they get wrong every time. But it doesn't matter.
The irony of Brian saying that others get something wrong every time. Remember, Brian.
I'm totally stupid. The point is that's their claim. I don't care where they don't understand it. That is their claim. So there's no way it could be picking up a 15 degree per hour drift here based off of the fact that the earth here is rotating and it not be picking it up here if this is also moving around at 15 degrees per hour. So the logical inference would be this, right? So I'm just going to go in here.
So if it's calibrated on the balloon, no, it won't pick it up. Well, it might pick up something, but it's be picking up a lot of things. Yeah, string and use 1.
Nuh-uh.
That's for you.
Show, right, in this little toy balloon here. is that if this table was rotating, right, and this balloon here and basket was being brought around by the rotation of this table due to some bizarre conservation of momentum that doesn't exist, as they...
Did you hear that? Conservation of momentum doesn't exist. I don't understand conservation of momentum, so therefore it doesn't exist. God, he gets me. This is why I didn't want to do, Brian. It's not good for my health.
They wanted to. If that was happening, right, then a gyro picking up the rotation of this table here would also pick it up in the basket here. There's no way for it not to, right?
Except that they're two different points of reference. If you calibrated it in the balloon, it would pick up the movement of the atmosphere, which is moving with the Earth. It might not be exactly 15 degrees per hour because there's other forces involved. And that's another thing floats never get, what's the word? That more than one force can act on an object at the same time. They just never get that. And that's what the gyroscope will pick up if it was calibrated in the balloon in the air. But that's why aircraft calibrate on the ground before they leave. So they always have that single point of reference and they can navigate in relation to that. I did a live stream with Wolfie about 6 months ago and we talked about this.
Because it's the same rotation. So the fact that officially they claim our opposition, and Bob Nodell, right, but our opposition officially claimed, and they'll claim, sorry, that the gyro will be picking up a 15 degree per hour drift on the table, but it won't be picking it up here in the balloon. So they claim that it will be picking up a 15 degree per hour drift on the Earth here, but it won't be picking it up here in the balloon, or in the airplane or helicopter or drone. So that means that nullifies their claim, and it actually turns it on its head, as this proves it's not picking up.
How does he come to that conclusion with those facts? He's just a lunatic. Just a lunatic. Anyway, time's getting on. Let's go to our last video. You're going to love this.
Here would have to be attached to the surface of the globe Earth to be brought around for the momentum of a rotating globe Earth to bring it around in a circle, right? So they can't claim the conservation of angular momentum because they're claiming things that aren't attached to the Earth's surface are being brought around in a circle.
Can someone tell me what angular momentum is?
So they go and they claim the conservation of linear momentum, which has nothing to do with circles or globes or spheres. It's linear, it's straight line, it's nothing to do with it.
He has no idea what momentum is, does he? Tell me, Brian. What do you think about momentum?
I'm totally stupid.
Oh, okay.
And how they're doing that is it's a back calculation, but they're straightening out. They're basically straightening out a latitude line, and just determining miles per hour speed of rotation based on that latitude, blah blah blah. And it's just a different miles per hour speed due to.
Momentum is not measured in miles per hour, Brian. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Go along with a 15 degrees per hour rotation at that latitude due to the size of the latitude, but the momentum they're claiming is a linear, which is straight line momentum, which is a conservation of straight line momentum, where something has been moving, has been thrown from something that's moving in a straight line, and it conserves its momentum for a short time, right? But the conservation of angular momentum is what they should be claiming with a rotating.
Momentum doesn't have an angular component. You don't understand what momentum is. Momentum is the resistance to force.
Body, and they're not claiming it because most of them don't understand it. But those who do know that the object has to be attached to the rotating body that it's supposedly conserving the momentum of, right? So they're wrong on all counts, but it doesn't matter.
We're wrong on all counts, and you've got nothing right. Wonder why that is, Brian.
I'm totally stupid.
That's why.
Because let's whitewash all that away, and we go into the fantasy that they have for the moment. So let's just say this is a drone. This is a point underneath the drone on the Earth, on the globe Earth, right? This is a celestial body above the drone, right? As if the drone is being brought along by the momentum.
Now, watch carefully here. This is how he's leading up to the stupidest thing I've ever heard anyone say.
Of a rotating globe Earth, as they claim, right? Then as the Earth moves, right, the drone will move with that point underneath it on the ground. And for an observer in a helicopter or seeing it from a drone, the celestial body will appear to move, right? So as you can see, the celestial body is staying stationary, because in their model, the sky is stationary, but the Earth, the globe Earth is moving, right? So as this moves, the celestial body stays stationary, and for an observer that's here, as far as they're concerned, the Earth isn't moving, the celestial body is. And that's the Coriolis effect, where it's the observer here in the helicopter, right, thinks that the celestial body is moving, but only because they're moving along with a rotating globe. So they think that this is moving, but it's actually them that is rotating and moving, and not the celestial body, right? That's the Coriolis effect. Now, they've convoluted that into a lot of nonsense. That's just all it is, an optical effect. So this...
And there it is. Coriolis is an optical effect. The dumbest thing I've ever heard anyone say. And I don't know how to recover from that. Honestly, that is so dumb. I just lost for words. I'm going to refresh my palate, mental palate, with jumping into Meme Roundup. And once again, thanks to Where's Wally for some of these memes. I've got a few of my own, of course. And here's a typical Flurf rant, baseless completely as usual. I think this one means that Globers say, we have physics, as the argument against flat Earth. And they're saying, well, we can't replicate a small-scale orbit. Well, has anyone ever seen a table with a stretchy cover over it, and you put a ball in the middle, and then you throw a marble so it moves around like in an orbit? That's a replication. You can't replicate a pressure gradient using only gravity. That's kind of hard to do unless you've got a planet available for that sort of thing. So I guess the atmosphere is a demonstration of that. You can't replicate sphere-shaped air without a container. Look at Jupiter. Look at Saturn. Look at Uranus. Look at Neptune. Look at Venus. They've all, look at Mars. They all have a atmosphere. You can't replicate air next to a vacuum without a container. Well, given that's a straw man, I'm not even going to address that one. You can't replicate people walking under a ball. Why do Flurfs think the reason we have gravity is because it's a ball? And from your point of view, presumably, I'm doing that right now by sitting in my chair and I'm upside down compared to you being here in Australia. You can't replicate bending space or time. We have experiments that show that it does happen. What's that? Not the Cavendish one, the Eddington experiment of 1919. That demonstrated that. You can't replicate a black hole or dark matter. We can detect that it's there. We just don't know what it is. That's the difference. We can replicate. Why would you replicate it? It's there. It's like saying, replicate this banana. What physics do you think you have? We have some. Flat Earth has none. The vanishing point horizon has been falsely taught to be the curvature of the Earth. Well, then what is the horizon on flat Earth? Because there shouldn't be one, should there? Should be no clear defined horizon. And I like, if you zoom in, I like how it looks like they've dodgied up the perspective lines. Because really, if they were being honest, look how unstraight that line is. If they're honest, it should be meeting around here or something, those 2 points. And it seems to be going more that way than this way. So, but hey, you got a light of Flurf. And this is Flurf logic. What's wrong with me, doctor? Do your own research. It's funny how Flurfs reject all of science until they need a hospital or something. And this is a funny one. All staff, please ensure that copies of My Daddy's a Giant are not placed at the front of the book box. My Daddy is well, I guess that could be giant. Could be something else too. Chuck Norris was here and he played rock, paper, scissors, and he chose scissors. Now, this is a weird one that's popped up in the last couple of days on the X platform. Ask yourself why Globe believers don't spell believers correctly. You don't need an apostrophe there. Won't debate the Globe, but they troll FE threads. This is FDFE and MC Toon, probably the most prominent debaters or flat earthers on the planet. And Mike Oxbig, Mike, if you need to advertise, you don't have much to advertise. Lol, I'm glad it makes you, a triggered boomer midwit, feel good that these two triggered boomer midwits, what's a midwit? With less than 5K combined followers are the best you guys have that are willing to publicly humiliate themselves on your behalf, but why won't father, well, whatever that means. FTFE has 53,000 subscribers. MC Toon has over 60 on one channel and nearly 20 on the other. Do you never research anything, Fluffs? And this one is one of mine. Mike Oxbig, the same guy, asked himself why so many space enthusiasts still play with Legos as men. Here's Simon and Dan playing with a Lego ISS. And my response to that was, they also play with hot women. Have you seen Simon and Dan's wife? Unlike conspiracy theorists like Mike Oxbig, who only has contact with women when his mum brings hot pockets to him in the basement of her trailer. And that's meme roundup for today. Goodness me. And many thanks to Wes Wally for some of these memes today. Have you seen a silly meme lately? Send it to me, and I'll show it on the stream if it's fit for general consumption, of course. That giant one went close. Contact details are in the description of this video. Let me know who you'd like me to look at in the near future by leaving a comment below. I saw a suggestion of Witsit. I think I just get very, very tired watching Witsit. To be honest, he just says absolutely nothing. I appreciate all suggestions, though. For tomorrow, I'm going to look at the second half of Flat Earth Banjo's book, which he entitles 16 Emergency Landings That Prove Flat Earth. But only some of them are emergency landings, and none of them prove Earth and flat. If you want to see how I debunked the first 8 of those 16, have a look at the Daily Jarsz show number 7. Do the YouTube things. Click the like button. Subscribe. Click join and become a member. Leave a comment. I love to read your comments. In particular, if you're one of the few who watch my videos who aren't subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button below this video on your screen. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. And for today, I think that just about does it.
There's nothing left to do but cue the corgi.
You're just